Hello, how are you? Yeah, once again, this is Uncle Gen C show. We are here with Abel. We have something good, and I hope you will enjoy. Today, we are going to talk about IEBC and try to understand what is IEBC in our nation, because majority think this is the only electoral board. They don't know there are some of the things this that are mandated to be done by this electoral board. So we will we have a research that we have already done, and we'll go through it and try to look the research in a certain angles. So welcome, enjoy, and give your comments.
Yes, so once again, Abel ako hapa. We want to dissect this whole issue of IBC because it's the time of the year where we are actually supposed to recall our MPs amongst other things. So it's really good to get deep into what IEBC is and what it ought to be doing. So maybe if I give you a short recap, maybe I can give the viewer something small on what IEBC is. The IEBC, the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, is Kenya's electoral body responsible for overseeing elections, conducting voter registration, not ensuring the integrity of the and ensuring basically the integrity of the election process. So recently, the IEBC has been undergoing certain reforms in response to political disputes and demands from the public and the opposition leaders. So following issues from the 2022 elections, a newly amended IEBC Act was signed by the President, President Ruto, which outlines changes to the Commission's structure and selection process, and that's what now we want to look into basically. So maybe if you can go back to the Constitution, because that is our Bible.
That's what runs the government.
That is also our Bible here in Uncle Jen's issue.
Yeah.
So basically, ladies and gentlemen, Article 81 of the Constitution stipulates the general principles of the electoral process in Kenya. Now, the electoral process should comply with the following principles. Let me just take you through them. Now, number one would be freedom of citizens to exercise their political rights under the Article 38 of the Constitution. Not more than 2/3 of the members of elective bodies, public bodies, shall be of the same gender. Fair representation of persons with disabilities. Universal suffrage based on aspiration for their fair representation and equality of vote. The last one maybe would be free and fair elections, which are by secret ballot, freedom from violence, intimidation, and corruption, basically, conducted by, of course, the IEBC, amongst other things and all that. So maybe if I can take you through shortly Article 21 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights 1948 underpins the importance of election as follows. That is in a democratic country, basically.
Yeah.
Now,
Okay,
it's good to mention that.
Yeah.
Now, the will of the people shall be based on the authority of governance. This shall be expressed in periodic and genuine elections, which shall be by universal and equal suffrage, and should be held by secret vote or by equivalent, free voting procedures. Yeah, good. So before we look at types of elections, it's good to understand, or rather it's good to to look basically into what you think. Do you think that it was right for the Constitution to stipulate those principles?
Yeah, it was right. In fact, if we didn't have a constitution or something that governs us, whoever becomes an MCA, whoever becomes an MP, whoever becomes any leader who is elected, he could get a chance of doing whatever he wants. Monopolize people. Abduction should take place without even complaining, because he's like a king. But when it comes now to things to deal with democracy, it's not how people view it, in a way that they think the democracy, it was kind of showing the freedom to the people, but also democracy was something new, in a way that kings could not say to be worshipped. You know that when a king says, "Oh, the dogs should be killed," then all the dogs should be done what killed. But when it comes now to democracy, is that by king has said all the dogs to be killed, but you have a reason to ask why. What's this thing that the dog has done that it deserves to be killed? And you must be proven that the dog really deserves the death. But back then, when it was in terms of kingdoms, no going outside today, don't go outside. But nowadays, a president should have a reason. Why is he saying this? So the constitution was right when it comes to that.
Okay, maybe let me hold your thought and maybe let's try to look at the types of elections that take place in Kenya, who gets elected after how many years and all that. So maybe to our viewers who may not be conversant with matters to do with elections, so let me just take you through some aspects and we'll see how we'll move forward basically. Now, the three major types of elections in Kenya are the general election, by-election, and the referendum.
Yeah.
So the other three are the recall elections, the runoff elections, and the primary elections. So let's dive deep into the general elections that are the primary source basically.
Yeah.
So these are the first. The general elections are the first among the major types of elections in Kenya. They comprise of elections, parliamentary elections. Basically, they comprise of parliamentary elections and county elections. So valid registered voters vote for 6 positions on the same day, and these positions include the president, which of course comes with the deputy president in one single ticket, parliamentary members, both the Senate and the National Assembly, and the county officials and ward representatives. So the general election takes place when the term of a parliamentary expires, that is after 5 years, and it can also happen before the 5-year term ends under certain circumstances, as stipulated under Article 261 actually of the Constitution, basically. So according to the legislation, the Chief Justice can advise Parliament, and the President must heed this advice. So that's in terms of the general election. So let's look at the by-election, which is the second among the major types of elections in Kenya, as we spoke of earlier. Now you can also refer them to as a special election. This by-election basically. The reason as to why it takes place is because the by-elections occur under some certain circumstances. We can it's quite long, but maybe I'll give you a few.
Just go through it.
Yeah.
Because of the viewers to understand.
No problem. So it's good to understand that they take place within the terms of Parliament. That is between one general election to the other. So basically, it happens in between. All right. So by-elections affect members of Parliament regardless of whether you're in the Senate or the National Assembly. And some of the reasons as to why by-election might happen is when someone dies, or a member of Parliament dies, or resigning in writing address to the Speaker, absence of 8 consecutive Senate meetings, National Assembly meetings, amongst other things, such as members being whipped out of your party, when you're declared of unsound mind, when you become bankrupt, conviction of a felony basically.
Do you feel that statement of when you become bankrupt should work? You've been bankrupt as a leader. You need to be impeached, to be removed in your office, and then elections are done again.
Well, in my view, I would say that when you look at that aspect of bankruptcy, you see, man is to error. You need to understand that, and when you're in a high position such as a member of Parliament, you are subjected to a very nice, lucrative salary basically. So I think that point of being bankrupt is trying to curb the whole story of corruption basically, because it is very much easier for you if you don't have money. You might be prone, or rather to steal from the people. I mean, as much as we see it happening day to day, you know, I think that's a valid reason. I don't think as a leader you should be bankrupt because it will, you know, bring the whole corruption, you know.
So these are let's say these are some of the things that should be corrected in our constitution.
Well, I'm not so sure whether it can be. The problem with our constitution, it doesn't need to be reworked. It just needs to be followed. Exactly. So what I'm basically trying to say, the parliamentarians don't actually need to amend the constitution because we haven't. If we can be true to ourselves, people or other leaders have not been following the constitution. So if you can be true and be have integrity to actually follow these, you know, processes, these procedures, and, you know, to abide by the law. Our constitution is a very good Bible to guide us as a country, as citizens of Kenya. So now, maybe before we move on, let me talk about the referendum, which is the third type of, you know, basic major election. The referendum or the ballot question is a form of direct democracy. Now, in referendum, people have direct say for matters of public concern. So these concerned parties presents the people with an issue or proposal. So we say that the people have to accept or reject with a majority through the ballot. So often the referendum involves a yes or no question. So the referendum in Kenya addresses issues of amendment to the constitution, you know, and reasons for the referendum is the change of presidential terms under Article 10 of the Values and Principles of Governance, Chapter 4 of the Bill of Rights, objectives, principles, and structure of the devolved government, and all that. So that's
Article 255, 256, whichever.
Exactly. So under the now moving forward, let's now come back to situations that are happening in our current. You know, I remember when the Gen Z movement was, you know, being in its peak or its climax, when we wanted to come to the resolution, people come down because they knew that after the 2 years of general election, we have the rights to recall our members of parliament. So, ladies and gentlemen from all around Kenya, they were really waiting for this period of time where we can actually rightfully call these members of parliament in an educational way and see basically how we can move forward. But you see, we cannot do that because the commissioners
the committee has not been yet
it hasn't implemented. It hasn't been implemented. We don't see them. You know, and that's something that is unfortunate because it is, you know, depriving us of our election, or rather our electoral freedom. So, you know, I want to get your views, Uncle Gen Z, on this, and maybe viewers probably.
Do you think, let me first, before giving my view, ask you, do you think the problem is the government or the problem are the citizens? Because we have a constitution that governs us, that we must have this electoral board committee, whereby now should be already doing its work, like kuangalia mipaka za counties, solving some of the issues. And like now there's this motion like we increase our counties. Some of the counties are big. We need them to be able to be divided so that they can create another county to an extent of around 52, I guess. So are we able to sit down and try to analyze this motion? Because of course it's a nice motion for development, for a country that needs to develop, but we don't have an electoral board. So is it the problem? Is it the nation, the government, the people who are supposed to elect the board, or the problem is the citizens who knows the truth, who knows they should have the committee, but they are still silent? Or is it because we don't want to understand the purpose or the importance of having this electoral board well structured? Because if you look back then in 2022, let me talk about the current elections. They had a very tough challenge, the trust between the people, the electoral board, and the leaders. But if you look at a generation like us, we are able to understand the validity and the integrity of this board. and try to assess it. Was it worthy or not? Because majority say kura ziliibwa na ziliibwa, and that is a message even after every 5 years, whereby the president who wins, people say aliiba, Kibaki aliiba, of which you can try to see the sense within it. Uhuru aliiba, now Ruto aliiba.
Yeah.
So where is this validity and the integrity of the me? Are we able to understand the validity and integrity of these systems of the electoral board? Or should we still continue staying with it without a committee, yet we haven't even taken, it would be quite so silly having an electoral committee in 6 months to elections. And then from there, itapewa around 60 billions. Of which fanye hivi, all papers are going to be printed in USA. I wonder, does it mean in Kenya we don't have printing machines? Money is eaten. Then after elections, kura ziliibiwa.
Okay, see, you raise a very important concern actually, because you need to understand that once again, I always say the constitution, people sat down and drafted the constitution, and they really took their time to work on it.
Yeah.
And I always say, we cannot basically say that it needs to be changed if at all it has been followed to the letter, and maybe let's say something has not worked well, so they need to redo it. In the case of who maybe to put the blame on, let me just put the blame on. I wouldn't put the blame on the citizens of Kenya, because they know that
they deserve to have this electoral
exactly board. They do. But when the leaders who we elected do not actually follow the constitution as it has been written, you see, that's it brings a lot of imbalancing basically politically, and you see that makes people lose trust in their leaders, and in a way they will also come to lose their trust in the body, in the Iebc. Why? Because the leaders who have been put there have done what? They have hijacked the system.
So it means if this is this was part of the mandate that this government was given.
Yeah.
So they must do it.
They must deliver.
So if they haven't delivered in that side of electoral board by electing the committee for us, then it means already it is failing. It's another part it's another way that proves that this government, it is a government of promises that they cannot attain. Because what was given unto them as a mandate to implement, they have failed to implement.
Yeah.
And basically they will still talk, but as long as they haven't implemented this thing to the citizens,
it makes it invalid.
Yeah. And for we to trust them, definitely we will still have the problem with that. But do you really also think that when it comes to validity and integrity of these systems of elections, do you think kura ziliibiwa 2022? What's your opinion?
My opinion, actually, I will not even base it on 2022. I feel even before then.
No. Let's just base it on 2022.
Okay.
Because let's say that was the expected level that you could have expected the Iebc at least to have corrected so many things. Are you getting? We can talk about 2013. It was manual, blah blah blah. But now this is whereby we experience the first, let's say 70% of technology within elections. So what's your take about 2022?
Well, first of all, I don't have any substantial evidence to base my opinion on. But once again, don't forget technology and data can be manipulated easily. So I think though some of the votes were stolen, they were hijacked in accordance to how I would put it. But I will not let me basically say I'm a bit 50-50 on it, because I know the president, you know, in regards to how the election were carried out, a lot of people really had trust in him. But I feel as if, as the president, you know, basically to secure himself, he probably, you know, did some, you know, manipulation of data. So that is now according to my opinion. So I hope
Okay,
that no one comes
let me
back
try
to
now
me.
to assist you a bit
Yeah.
with another question. Do you have any idea on how this system worked?
Okay.
2022.
Unfortunately, I don't know, and I'm not aware very much about
How
it.
it worked.
Exactly.
So when these people are
yeah.
trying to say that the elections were stolen, we saw back then after elections whereby Mahat, I love that lawyer. Mahat was trying to prove the validity and the integrity of this thing, whereby he was trying to show the difference between the opposition's nini petition, and they were trying to prove that the Huda stole elections. They are trying now to say what they have it is the correct data, and what IBC has it's the wrong data. But you wonder, okay, this thing works like this. According to my knowledge, what I learned during those seasons of the elections, and that's why I tell you, like, if this committee is elected as early as now, they can basically improve it to an extent that it becomes 100%. If they manage to do such thing during that period, whereby votes cast their votes, votes are tallied, the form is filled up, then a photo is taken as a JEP or a PDF, then sent to the bombers of Kenya, whereby now the tallying takes place. When you hear about server, those are the votes, the forms, and these forms are not sent in terms of the counties. No, the voting stations, the polling stations, whereby a station votes wanahesabu. If this is a polling station whereby people are going to cast their votes, we'll tally our votes, then fill our form, take a photo, send a picture to them direct to. Hakuna mahali ati itasimama kwa county office of governor, atiko kwa county of Busia, ati zote zimechukuliwa sasa zipelekwe to bombers of Kenya. There was nothing like that one. So if votes were stolen, the first person to give evidence ni agent wa MCA. Huyo ndo angekuwa wa kwanza kusema ni zilibiwa, because pale kwa kuhesabiwa we can agree hizi kura za Azimio tuweke kwa UDA. But not the people wafanye hivyo. Now kama zilibiwa, the plan was between the agents wenye walikuwa zikihesabiwa, the person who is in charge of the voting there, and the police officers. Those are the people who can tell us the truth in terms of the constituencies, not in terms of the what do I say, in terms of the ati mimi ni governor nini zilibiwa, nothing like that. So kama zilibiwa, the information, and this is what now inafanya tunateka our electoral board ikuwe reckless. Sorry, na ifai kuwa hivyo, because they are trying to prove that they can offer a fair elections in our nation. But the problem is that, and that will take us to another question, that how should they do at least to have this trust between the IBC, the citizens, and the parliament, and the leaders?
That's actually a very good question, since I was actually to project that question to you. So yeah.
So definitely. So before now we answer that question, I was trying to tell you, like, for me, I 100% support this digital way of voting, because there is a fairness somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And not unless Kenyans we sit down and try to understand the systems that run our government, run our things. Like if we are able to sit down and understand SHA, we are able to sit down and understand the new funding model. We are able to sit down and understand how identity cards are processed. Then definitely we'll be able now to have a nice way of solving issues. But if now we are waiting 2027, we already know kura zitaibiwa. We have that mentality, but we don't have any. We didn't sit down and try to analyze what happened to 2022. Definitely, we'll always have that mentality, and we'll never ever appreciate what we have, or even have an opportunity to improve them. So, for this thing, for trust, now I'm answering the question. For we as citizens to have trust between the trust between the electoral board, the citizens and the leaders, the men who are vying for the shares, for the positions. No, you are a leader when you're vying for something. You're trying to be a leader. So for you to have trust, and let me tell you how stupid we citizens tunabebangwa. A man anaenda kwa ballot na anajua kabisa hii system inaweza kuwa corrupt. Na anaenda kwa ballot. Mimi pia yako na mentality ya kucorrupt the system. Because if you know this system can be corrupt, you don't need to be part of this system. Raise up, say, I don't trust this system. Let's go back to the drawing board. Reason is because of this and this and this and this.
Yeah.
If this happens, the validity and the integrity of these elections will be affected. But if I will accept the system, it's corrupt, I know the failure of the system, and yet I become a member of that system.
You are part of that system.
You are part of the system's failure, because you feel like I will steal also to become.
Yeah.
And my opponent, shafanya research na kajua how to steal. So if I'm late to steal, then definitely you raise up and say, oh, mimi waliniibia tena, wananiibianga hii Iebc sitaki. You were there campaigning for 6 months? For 6 good months plus campaigning. Did you never sit down and try to analyze the system that these people are going to cast? What are the challenges that I might face?
Maybe I hold you on that thought actually, because since we are talking about accountability, there's this point, there are also new accountability measures, such as requiring the Iebc to review each election and submit reports to Parliament. Now, these changes are rather intended to strengthen trust in the Iebc, which basically we are saying, there's no that trust, which has faced criticism over past election controversies, and are seen as part of the broad efforts to address grievances in Kenya's political system and stabilize the country's governance, basically. If
the kind of impunity that nowadays these houses are displaying, Iebc will take these reports to these houses. What do you expect?
There's nothing basically.
They won't assist the Iebc.
Yeah.
They will try just to showcase they are useless. Yet they forget that it is the system of this electoral board that has given them this opportunity of them being member of Parliament or the Senate. So definitely the problem is also the elected leaders. They don't try to look for the solutions. They just critique the system.
Yeah.
There is no way that you can tell. The Iebc will tell you we faced a challenge on distributing the papers, whereby some of the papers were destroyed due to the current conflict between the opponents of a certain region. Or also we faced the challenge in networks, whereby the forms from 001 didn't arrive on time in our offices in Bomas of Kenya.
Yeah.
So you are like, bro, what might be the challenge? That's a nice leader. But you don't have to tell us our systems are cruel. It is a crooked system. We don't deserve it. Yet you manage. So it means you also steal.
So, Uncle James. So then, for there to be free. We always talk about free and fair elections. So what is it that you're suggesting for us as a Kenyan who we are actually more than 60 years old? What must be done for us to have a free and fair election?
First thing, as citizens, can you try to sit down and understand this system before any improvement? First of all, as a citizen, can you try to understand, I'm going to vote. This system works like this. Once I cast this vote here, these people are going to tally. They are going to write a form. The form is going to get to be captured, posted in the server. Now the things that they call server, and then I will be able to go in that server, download all the cast, do my mathematics. In terms of this mathematics, how am I going to calculate it? The Iebc does it like this. There is a number of the casts photos. It may be higher, and we may have the spoiled photos. Which one should we add? Which one should not add? When we are trying to do the total number of the votes, that's you understand the system. You understand because of the part of the system. And for us to understand this one, the reason why even I'm asking, why is it that the government yet managed to elect this new committee? Because this committee now should be working. It has a very nice 3 good years to prepare for the next, because they are paid to do so. Apart from working in between conflict between the county to county boundaries, that is something useless. That is something minor. We elect them, give them a mandate to perfect for the next 5 years to come.
Now, you raised an issue of them not having been put in place to do their work. So, and the government is actually supposed to do that work. Then is it, are you basically or indirectly trying to say that the system once again will be hijacked if at all the commissioners or the people who are to be elected are not going to be put to the task of what they're supposed to do?
These are, if it won't be elected on time, these are the things that we may expect 2027. One of it, we may have a challenge on registrations of new voters. Another thing that we may experience is the failure of the systems, whereby now we may be able to be told, let us consider the analog way, whereby utasikia kura za Tharaka-Nithi ni mingi kuliko watu ambao wanaishi Tharaka-Nithi. Kura za Bomet ni kidogo kuliko za watu wenye walienda kuvote. And you wonder what is the problem, because that is what comes to the analog, whereby a member of parliament, a billionaire, is able to go just have a view of those votes, the papers, how they look, then print new papers, mark them, and cast them on a ballot at a small penny. No, in Kenya, corruption is like tea.
Hayo maandishi si mageni.
It's like the way you wake up in the morning and take tea. In some generations like that. So if we as a Gen Z, we need a very perfect elections, a fair elections, 2027. We must call for, we need a new committee. Chebukati did a nice job. In fact, that was the first man that I saw tried to prove that there is something good that can come from Africa. There's something good there's something fair that can come from African countries. Apart from people saying, oh, he's a corrupt, maybe alichotewa, doesn't care. But if you see how this system works, there's that words, and you sit down, try to analyze this system and how they did their mathematics. Let's say, if the problem is Kenyans, if we had a problem with the mathematics, we had 5 good years, whereby before the 6 months of campaigning, we could have sat down and asked Iebc, okay, we are going to vote. We have 42 million people who are expected to vote. So how are we going to get the total number of the people who voted? minus the number of the total. Are we going to get the number of total number of the valid votes minus the number of the people who didn't vote and the invalid votes? How do we say this vote is invalid? That is the kind of knowledge that we need. Definitely, if I'm a man, I will fear to spoil my vote.
That's true.
Because I know if I cast a vote, if I miss the box, your tick toke nje,
that will be invalid.
That is invalid. So basically, I would be able to go make a nice neat tick to make sure my vote is valid. Secondly, if I will understand that what I've casted, it is my will, it is your will, and there will be fairness at the end of it, definitely I will do so. Roll my paper very well, walk with courage, go cast my vote, and get out, go singing, just praying for my leader to be elected.
Yeah.
If he fails, I'll be satisfied because it was my will, and I know it was not your will. Are you getting that difference?
Yeah.
So definitely I'll be able to understand, oh brother, I wanted Tumbo man, but the flatty tummy man.
Yeah, got it.
I'm getting that one. I wanted Mwembe, but Owembe. Got it.
Yeah.
So you understand, like, oh my bro, that was fair. So that's one thing that we need to call for. If we're not going to call for, we'll miss the point. One, the number, the people, we are the generation that are crying for a change. Every year, the number of people who are expected to vote, it increases. It's around let's say 500,000 people, because every year in this country, I believe over 500 people are turning adults. So in 5 years we may have, let's say, an increase of 7 million people. Increase of 7 voters, true voters, before the elections. And remember, elections na kwanga August. So definitely majority they turn at August. So that year is another year that we do experience another big number of voters. So if we want to be keen on trying to analyze our system very well, hii serikali itafanya tuchelewe na kuchukua kura. Na saa hii sio muda wa kusubiri ile miezi 6 watu waanze kueducate ati tunataka 53 billions. Unashangaa hizo 53 billions za nini? Ati ndo tuweke hizi basi. Sasa now let me tell you how stupidity this thing looks. Now it is time now they have the modern buses. They carry people with the modern buses to a very local area. A very classic bus. In 53 billion zinaenda bure. Unashangaa ziko tu kwa pick up stage. Toa hizi vitu, educate, because that's what they should be doing. And right now this electoral board should be working on the failures that they experience in terms of internet. We know that we are within Kisumu, Luanda. There is a polling station. We know where else? Kisumu, there's a polling station. Viga, there's a polling station. But there's a polling station in a local area that we do experience what? Internet problems.
Yeah.
So let us go right now with a team and try to analyze how can we improve this internet in this area. Are we going to have the one LAN or which one?
Yeah, what network
will work in this area? Those are the kind of the things that these people should be doing right now. But you see, we don't have it.
Yeah.
The other thing that should be done for fairness is this. Now the Iebc should take part. In fact, we are going for a third year. They should have already gone through their systems, and now they should be doing the first wave of education into the country. How this system works, both in the county assemblies, to the parliament, senates, governors. No, governors is in terms of the county assemblies, then to the citizens. So that this system can be criticized as early as now. Whereby, is it that we are going to add are we going to tally, when you are talking about the total votes, are we going to add the spoiled votes? Or are we going to minus the spoiled votes? Their opinion is that you should tally them. But the opinion of the citizens, they feel that you should not tally them. So they go with the opinion of what?
Of the citizens.
Of the citizens to perfect this what? System. We have experienced challenges of validity and integrity of these systems. Now it is the time that the Iebc should be doing the first wave of critique. So that now when it comes, they will also have another two years to sit down and analyze the system.
Yeah.
Whereby if now they will try to bring the second wave in that is a year to election, whereby now citizens will be keen to ask, and while they are doing this second wave education, they are also trying to register new voters as early as 1 year too. So that's now in terms of towards the elections. What they will do is just avail themselves in this whereby they are able to be asked questions and register those who haven't been registered, and also try to cope up with the systems. Right now, they should be having their sites. In fact, Kenya should have an institution of electoral board whereby all the papers, the machines to print these things are done there. I get it. Yeah. Whereby we will minimize the amount of transportation, the bra things, by doing it locally within our institution. In fact, what I will say, the electoral board should be another company. I get it. A government company. People within that electoral board are employed by the citizens, paid by the government, doing things for the people. And also the security within those areas should be implemented. Well, and this will, if they are going to do so, it will improve the insecurity cases that we experience. That the man who is in charge of a certain police station amepotea, man who is in charge of amepatikana amekufa, amedungwa. You remember that case in Nairobi? That man who got lost later akapatwa ameuawa. So you wonder, aliuawiwa nini? Is it that the country tries to complicate things for us to know that this is how politics are?
How it works.
Or is it because of the greediness and the failure of we citizens? So for me, I would like to say this. The more we will try to blame our government, can we try also to understand the system? Because if you don't have the knowledge about the system, definitely you will not be able or have that willingness of voting. Because but the people within there, they are trying to prove we can, not all people in the government are corrupt. I would say Chebukati 2022 it side. Tuachane na tamaa ya watu. Kuna ile tamaa ya watu ya kura, kuna ile tamaa ya kushinda. That's a fact. But je, nani alikaa chini akaelewa what Mahato was trying to prove kwa koti? Kila mtu alikuwa na form zake. But nani alikaa chini akaangalia this lawyer alikuwa na try ku prove nini? Give about the stories za Jaba. Lawyer alikuwa anataka kuprove the facts. The facts. What are the facts with this that was represented by Iebc to prove that the validity and integrity of the system is above the understandings of men. That these elections were fair, and if they are not fair, they were trying to tell you, go blame we should arrest the agents in those constitutions. Those are the people to tell us that there was a corruption within this votes. But ukiambia mtu hivyo anakuambia acha, hujui hii Kenya ni yetu, wewe acha, ziliibiwa, hujui wewe acha, enda. So that's what I can say about it. And if Iebc can do this, because I believe if we have that one common heart while voting, respecting my opinion, you respecting me, respecting your opinion, then definitely we can build a nice country. And if we raise these things at that air level, we are the unstoppable country in Africa. But can you stop depending on the Western countries when it comes to votes?
Exactly, that's true. Can
you stop this? We have the knowledge. We are the country that managed to run 8444. If you know the history of 8444, was brought to Moi, a test because it failed, and it worked. So we are the country, even if we are reckless in terms of our responsibilities, we have knowledge. So what we need is just to come together and try to think together.
And have the integrity, basically, to do it.
Yeah. Rather than showcasing that everything in this country is reckless. No, it is not reckless, and it can never be reckless. And some of the system, we dump them if we agree. We improve them if we agree. But not one man to tell us, now, vinyo wamefanyia NHIF, wamefanyia SHA. Sasa usikia tu na Iebc, tuko na ingine inaitwa Kenya board. My brother. One man, ameenda kaka chini akaona Iebc ifanye. Ati sasa tulete Kenya board.
Something whatever he.
Na hata hajawafunza what is Kenya board. So, my brother, what you should do as a Gen Z, people crying for change, is that can we do a civic education to our fathers, our mothers, who have already built that mentality that everything in Kenya is corrupt and nothing can work. Can you try as soon? And that's why I say, if you have that courage to support Morara, do so. And not only that, if a man travel yourself for civic education, do so. Can we do this thing? Because if we need a change, let us win votes. Let us trust. If we're going to use the system that was used during Raila, the man with the bangi, and amekuwa anaitwa nani? Raila Ruto, Wajakoya era. The system was fair, according to me. Only small things that needs to be improved. And if that system is what we are going to use, we should cry for two things: civic education, and also kuchaguliwa kwa the Iebc committee. Because if they will let that on, majority of us who are crying for the change have identity cards, but they don't have the voting card. So definitely we will end up crying for change, but mwisho wa serikali tuambie sisi hatuna pesa ya kufanya nini, ya increase the number of the voters. Na sasa wenye walikuwa wameajini, and you know majority ni wazazi wetu. So definitely tunaona nje tena. That's what I can say. Yeah.
So yeah, ladies and gentlemen, that was us, the Abel and Uncle Gen Z here with our take on Iebc. We would also urge you as citizens of Kenya also go do your research more, find out more election on the IEBC so that we can make Kenya a better tomorrow for us and for our children, for our parents, for our children's children to come. So thank you so much, and God bless you and God bless us all.
Welcome. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you.
Thanks.